Hey, thanks for tuning in. We are going to be doing a review, 1,000-mile review of the Lowrider ST. I just finished washing the bike. It was absolutely disgusting. I'm out here enjoying the beautiful weather with a glass of wine before the football game tonight. Hey Mark, by the way, where's my wine lanyard?
Okay, here we go.
Lesson number 2. No matter how
There
much
isn't a lesson.
no matter how much you eat, drink, and sip water,
It
still
doesn't
get
help.
drunk if you don't
You
stop.
still get drunk. So, cheers.
Wait, we're gonna bottom your photo.
Hasta la vista, baby.
So one of the things that I really love about this bike is the 117. This bike is sick. It's fast, it's nimble, it's responsive. Just a twist of that throttle and you feel the torque and you definitely will fly. Mark rides a street glide with a 128 and I can keep up with him. I might be faster, but let's not tell him that. Another thing that I love about this bike is with it being lighter, it's so much easier for me to maneuver. I can duck walk this bike with no problem, especially with having a backpack full of clothes on the back of this bike and gear in the saddlebags. So it was so much easier for me to be able to pick up with no problem. So another thing I really love about this bike is the fixed fairing. It's really great wind protection. I don't feel like I'm getting blasted in the chest with wind, and also with this just being a fairing, it just keeps the bike light and nimble. Also, if you ever notice when you're on the expressway and if you're riding near a truck, you feel like you're kind of being thrown around, fighting the bike. With this fixed fairing, it just feels like the bike is so much smoother. Few times that I have been next to a truck, no problem, just breeze on through. Oh, and by the way, Harley Davidson, if you're listening, could I get my audio before February? It's bought and paid for. So what are the things that I've changed on the bike for my personal preference? I actually prefer floorboards, and this bike came with pegs. Riding long distance, being in one position, riding position, got very tiring after a while, and not having the ability to move my feet in different spots was kind of difficult. So I ended up changing the floorboards, actually the pegs, to floorboards, and here's a close-up of one of them. These are made by Joker Machine. Really easy to install on the bike, and great foot positioning for me. I can move my foot back and forth with no problem if I needed to change my position. Also, I added the engine guard, which I will be able to put highway pegs. So for long distance riding, I will be able to stretch out my legs further out. So I would be able to give myself a little bit of relief when we're out riding for a long distance. Another thing that I've done is I've changed out the seat. This is the Harley Davidson Reach seat. It's a 2-up. The original seat on the bike is a solo seat, but for some reason the Reach seat is a 2-up. This gives me the ability to be pushed forward by 1.5 inches and closer to the ground by 1/2 inch. The back, since it is raised, is a great support for my back, as well as pushing me forward, so I don't feel like my arms are completely stretched out. I do know that when I was using the original seat, I felt like I had to sit up closer so I wasn't getting any back support while riding. But with this seat, it is extremely comfortable and really works well for me. The other thing that I've done as well is added heated grips. So I live in the Midwest, and during our trip, Labor Day weekend, we were experiencing some pretty big shifts in weather. Sometimes in the morning it would start out in the 50s, and then by the afternoon it was in the 80s. So having heated grips made a big difference in uh, my hands, because especially in the morning, I was just feeling really uncomfortable. As much as the fairing does provide wind protection, what it doesn't provide is wind protection for your hands. So you're pretty much exposed to the elements, and by having heated grips, it really helped prolong my time being on the bike.
Hey, welcome back. We are going to wrap up our review, 1,000-mile review for the Lowrider ST. Um, does this bike live up to the hype as a sport touring? And I'm going to say yes, it does. The 117, responsive, fast, nimble, you're going to love it. The the way this bike looks, the way it handles, it's just like butter. With some modifications like the floorboards, the grips, the seat, that all made this bike so much more comfortable for me, who is 5'2" and 140 pounds. It makes the bike so much easier to handle and much more enjoyable. So, if you had watched our intro video, you know that I have owned 5 different bikes in the last 5 years. One of them being the 2020 Street Glide CVO. We all know is the Cadillac of Harley Davidson. However, that bike with all its bells and whistles, all the upgrades that you could think of, was a bike that I really had a lot of difficulty with in handling because it was just so heavy. The fairing itself was heavy. It had all the controls in it. With this fairing, it's just a fairing. There's nothing on it other than eventually there's going to be an audio system. But it keeps the bike so lightweight that it's just an easy bike to maneuver, an easy bike to handle. And especially for someone like me who's 5'2", this bike has really checked off a lot of boxes of what I'm looking for in a bike. This, to me, is one of the best bikes I've ever had. So thank you for watching our video. If you have any questions, suggestions, please leave us a comment, like, follow, and subscribe, and ride safe.